If we got something.
Thank you guys for coming out. I hope everyone's week is going well and enjoying the wonderful late summer weather we've been having. Charles Ross is here from the National Weather Service. We'll be talking about the forecast and I believe a little bit about the hydrology outlook for the next couple months.
Yeah, kind of more of a summary than an outlook, but a little bit of outlook as well. So all right, thanks for having me again. Always great to come here, back to make the trek from Innovation Park to here. Let's see, figure out how I start this slideshow from the beginning. So yeah, we'll just take a quick look back, just try to make this quick and then get to the forecast. My unofficial summer review, and Bill, since you're here too, you can kind of give some context maybe about how the summer rolled, but looking at our temperatures, you'll see that we had a significant spike upward for our high temperatures this year over the last few summers, which we went through a nice little cool spell, about 3, maybe even 4 summers. The last few summers have been pretty nice here. This summer we went back warm again with our June through August high temperatures back over 80 degrees, and so you can see the quite a bit warmer than last summer. And you'll see this goes all the way back to 1886. So you can see the general the ups and downs of high temperatures, and they call it summers. One thing and just without running a full-blown statistical analysis, it looks like a pretty straight line for the most part. There's a couple shifts, but definitely when you look at our min temperatures there, you can definitely see a recent trend that started sometime in the 80s, and you can definitely see there's some sort of a significant rise in our nighttime low temperatures. I think we've already discussed this before, but this summer really put an exclamation mark on our warm summer lows, because our average lows was I think it's the warmest average lows we've had in State College. So nighttime lows have been really warm here at the weather station out in front, out in the lawn out there, and you can really see it well on this graph. So moving on, precipitation, drier than the last several summers, but in line, for the most part. We average somewhere around 10 to 12 inches of rain every summer around here, and that's what we had this summer. Well, one thing that we had less of, even though we had, around 10 inches of rain, we had less days with over 1/10 of an inch, so picked up a little bit more times than usual. But let's talk about region-wide what we're seeing. So precipitation, I guess I'll just get to the point. We're under a drought watch, and that's kind of the big hydrologic story right now. Precipitation is the main driver in Pennsylvania for drought. We average roughly the same amount of rain every month, or precipitation month by month. It's generally a little drier in the winter, but on the whole, our climate that we're under is pretty equally spaced out precipitation. Having lived in the West for a long part of my career, that's the opposite of what you see out on the West Coast, where everything falls. A water year there starts October 1st. Calendar year precipitation is not really useful in Portland, Oregon, or Spokane, Washington, places I live, because you want to know what happened starting October 1st through the whole water year, because in the summer you get virtually nothing for rainfall. Here, we're equally distributed. When it doesn't rain here for a while, we start to see effects rather quickly, and that's what we're in right now. So precipitation is pretty much the #1 driver for drought, and kind of because of the lack of precipitation, you start to see your stream flow and your groundwater conditions deteriorate. So over the last 90 days, and this goes longer as well, you'll see a good part of the northeastern United States is seeing 50 to 90% average precipitation. There are some pockets that have picked up some convection that has been beneficial in places. This one down here near Connellsville was a pretty big flood a month ago. It really turned their precipitation problem around. You see some around Harrisburg as well. There's been some pockets of wet areas, but for the most part, it's been pretty dry here in Pennsylvania, and even drier in New England, where they're under a pretty significant lack of precipitation and drought right now. Stream flows have come down. It's just normal for our stream flows to be at our lowest levels here in September, minus any tropical activity, which puts our stream flows up here. But for the most part, they're up low normal right now, but are getting into that range. They're on the low side of where we should be for stream flows. And our groundwater wells are also pretty, a lot of them are below average. So all this indicates that the area is under what is called a drought watch. The National Weather Service does not issue drought watches. They're issued by the State Department of Environmental Protection. We are we're a partner with them, and we give them information. They make the decision, and given conditions, that's what they've issued. What does that mean for us here in Center County? Because we are under a drought watch. For the average citizen, not a lot. What they're really asking people to do is try to reduce non-essential water use. Even 5% makes a difference. So just remember that, if you can, don't waste water. I mean, we should really all be in the practice of not wasting water. It's a commodity, but with this drought watch, that's something to pay attention to. Up in Potter County, the drought's been a little bit more noticeable, and they're encouraging 10 to 15% water reduction for people up there, up on the New York border. So a little more significant. There's been a few public water systems that have had, a couple have even instituted mandatory water restrictions. If this is something that interests you, just Google Pennsylvania drought, and you'll be taken to the DEP page. Let's turn our attention here to the weather moving forward. Autumn started a couple hours ago, so I'm sure y'all can tell the big difference outside. I don't know why we're long sleeves, but honor the changing seasons, I guess. Today is our last average day of 70 degrees until May 16th. So enjoy the 70-degree plus weather while we have it, because it's falling fast. We should be down here at State College to about 51 in the morning, and again, a few more days from now, we'll be having average lows in the 40s. So hard to find that right now. Let's take a look at our forecast, and we'll see what might be happening. Starting out real quick at the radar, as expected, given how unbelievably clear skies we have out there right now. You have to go to find any precipitation near us. There's a couple rogue showers up near the thumb in Michigan, going into Ontario, and some out here over the southeast, where it seems to be endless rainfall down there for the most part this summer. And then there's a dying system here. If you look at satellite coming over the ridge in the upper Great Plains. And then there's a big trough over the west, and it's producing some mainly orographically based precipitation. So that's it right now. And here's the visible. Just really, I'll try to make this quick because we need to be outside, right? So I'm not going to show you the herd. The rest of today is pretty much, it just comes down to a few degrees on a temperature forecast. How warm is it going to be? It's going to be, today and tomorrow are going to be pretty warm days. Let's just kind of look ahead, because we all know there is a change in the weather. It's kind of a different type of change. We're not getting a cold front in from the west as we would kind of expect. This is going to be a little different. So I'm going to start out at the 500 level, and we'll just look at the 60 Jeffs, not for Alaska, but we'll try to do the East Coast real quick and try to get an idea what's happening. You see this okay, or I think I always have this problem, right? I can't turn the page. Can I? I can. Well, maybe. There we go. That works. Okay, so let's go back in time here. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is what we're going to watch. This is for Saturday morning. So we're going to skip ahead until Saturday, because there isn't a lot to look at for our weather till then. We have this pretty strong ridge that is continuing between this trough over the west and the trough here over the Maritimes and into Labrador. And we are going to be right on the edge here at State College. You don't have to go too much further west of here before you're really not going to see too much of a change in air masses. But we are going to be seeing an 850 temperature front. I'll show you that here. That will drive through us, and that'll, as we mix on Saturday, we're going to be mixing much cooler air on Saturday and Sunday. And for the weekend, with pretty good radiation at night, so we're going to see temperatures fall into the 40s, which is actually even a couple degrees below average, possibly. We'll see how that plays out for a couple nights. So that's how this weekend looks. It looks dry. The SREF had a couple members that had some rainfall, but the SREF is notoriously wet on these patterns, and we expect it to come through dry. Just to prove that point to you, if you look at the 6-hour 0.05 rainfall map prediction. So this is SREF, or I'm sorry, the Jeffs. You can see there is some rain with this front. They'll have a little bit more moisture and to work with over here over New England, which is good news for them. But you'll see it really washes out here in Pennsylvania, and then we have to watch this what happens next week. And that's this I'll quickly go over next week's forecast. First, we'll look at the Jeffs, and if you look at the again, if you look at the ensemble, you'll see there's definitely a lot of uncertainty, and actually some certainty that there's a system coming towards us on Tuesday. And so if you take all the members of the Jeffs, I'd be very, I probably want to say, all right, it looks kind of unsettled next week. So if something moves through, in the Wednesday, Thursday period, you can't, sorry for the skipping around, I'm just using the mouse, but you can't ignore the idea that there's a weather system, and with this ridge and potential trophy, this ridge will break down. We'll actually see some sort of a trough coming through here early next week. Now, a lot of us like to look at one model, and I'm going to do a quick teaching moment here because I used to be in that camp until I met Rich Grum. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to show the 60, and then we'll go look at the 12Z real quick. Maybe the 12Z. If you look at the 60 real fast for next week, if you just look at the GFS run next week, yeah, they're going to have this weekend pretty good. They have a pretty good idea. But watch how the operational run, it carves in a big ridge for us Monday and Tuesday. So the operational run is quite different than the ensemble. You'll see the ensembles. If you look at the 500 pattern, it has much lower heights over us. A lot more uncertainty in the ensembles. So if you look at this forecast, you're going to feel real good about the fact it's going to be warm and dry on Tuesday just by using the GFS run. I looked at the Euro deterministic. I don't have it here. I have it in our office. It's much trophier. It actually has a 564 cutoff low over us on Tuesday. You have a battle of the models right here of the deterministic models. You have a GFS saying, get out the sunscreen again. We're back at it. Maybe it'll be right. I mean, I'm not saying what's right or wrong here. I'm just saying just to leverage, before you really know what's going to happen next week, you have to look at all the data, and ensembles is the best tool to use. So if you go back and if you look at the 500 heights on the Jeffs real quick, and then we'll look together at the 60, and then I'll kind of wind it down. But if you look at the, let's just go back to East should work, right? You go back to the 60 Jeffs. Remember the Tuesday time frame. There's this weekend. Look at how the models really become out of sync on Tuesday. You have a lot. There's a general Jeffs that has a general broad trough over here with still high heights, but this is a big difference between having a big high height ridge over us and being on the front side of a trough, which puts us in a much wetter pattern. And you'll see there's a lot of uncertainty. So next week is going to be real interesting to see how it plays out. You certainly shouldn't be going dry and hot, but you don't want to have 100 pops either. You need to have some kind of, you need to have a lever. You need to acknowledge the uncertainty. And I was looking with Rich before I got here. We're trying to figure out, maybe somebody here, please add to this. Let's try to figure out what's causing the uncertainty in the models. And there has been some real strong high heights up in the Arctic and across the high latitudes over Siberia all the way into north of Hudson's, and it really appears that next week they're breaking down. And I think with some of the breakdown and just the seasonality occurring, this is what we're starting to possibly see some breakdown of these high latitude ridges over the Arctic. But again, I'm just guessing. I mean, I'm just trying to, we're all, no matter how long you do this, we're all still learning. So we'll try to use this as a learning experience to see what plays out early next week. Pretty interesting potential pattern, how next week plays out. That said, we'll look at the GFS 12Z to see if it's what it said, just out of curiosity, and we'll open it up to anybody. So looking at the 500 heights, we'll just look here. This is the new 12Z GFS. You'll see that it's, again, it still has this, this backdoor front that's going to push the air through. And then this gets us to Sunday. Notice this ridge. And by Tuesday, the ridge is over us. What happened? And now we're skipping to Thursday. I'm not sure what happened. Or the longer range. Am I the wrong? What am I? GFS. Which one should I pull up? The 100? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's try this. All right, so actually, let's put on this is the surface pressure. That's all right. We can get an idea with this surface. It doesn't go out far enough yet either. So it's still not in, but Let's go back to the jets real quick. I'll just show you. Well, that's fine. That's basically it. I mean, it's just next week's uncertainty. Nice weekend on tap with an air mass change. It's going to feel, if you're in one of these dorm here that doesn't have air conditioning, it's going to feel a lot better for you by Sunday. I remember being in a couple of South Halls one year, West Halls the next. And yeah, it's got to be a tough year this year. This has been a pretty warm start to the school year, so I sympathize with everybody. Hey, you can open the window Saturday night and let the cool air come in. So, questions, comments? Anybody have anything they want to add? Yeah.
I guess I've just been following the drought conditions, and for the last couple of weeks, they haven't really changed much of the drought status in central Pennsylvania. I guess we've kind of got occasional rainfall. Do you see any sign of that? Just kind of continue the same deal, or
it probably until we're quickly, and I didn't talk about the tropics because there are 2 storms, but none of them really are going to affect us. Both of them appear to be fish storms. Are going to move out in the Atlantic, but usually, a drought like this, having some sort of even a residual tropical system, something that brought in a lot of moisture, maybe not. Obviously, we didn't need a Lee or an Irene or an Ivan to come and flood us at the same time, but we have enough deficits. It's going to take a while synoptically to bring us back to average. We're several inches below average this year, enough that we're going to have some real wet months. And these occasional, I don't see anything coming, even with these storms, that's going to really make the drought. Certainly, like you said, we've had occasional rains that keeps it from getting a lot worse, but we're just going to kind of stay in this situation for a while. And most of us aren't going to really feel any impacts of it here. This is a great place to live in because we're pretty drought resistant on the whole. I mean, our groundwater supplies generally stay pretty. They don't vary a lot, and even though they're drier now, they should be okay. Assuming we can get some rain. But this goes on for a few more months, and we'll get more interesting. Good question. Yes?
Is there a significant difference between a slow, steady rain that replenishes groundwater versus maybe a very intense convective rain that might put more of the runoff?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's the thing. If sometimes a tropical system, you usually get help with drought because it just rains so much. You can't. Both of it ends up happening, right? But slow, steady synoptic rains, once the soil, getting into the soils and into the water tables, is definitely better than raining on a hard, dry soil in the summertime that a lot of it just runs off. So yeah, but even in Pennsylvania, it's amazing. I can just tell you anecdotally, living here, when it doesn't rain in the summertime, my grass turns yellow really fast, and then all it takes is an inch of rain and it's green again. So things can change pretty quick here. And in fact, I got like a little first order stream in my backyard, and it can get mushy after an inch or two of rain. So it changes pretty quick here. We don't, like in the West, when it dries out, that soil gets pan hard, and it takes a while to work rainfall through it again. But it's pretty fast here with our soil and our rock types, I believe. So yeah.
Soil ground stage dry there now heading into the winter months. How will that impact the winter weather season? Especially in the winter months.
Yeah, I mean, once the ground freezes, it's kind of the same, but it could have impacts in the springtime, I suppose. Just I think we'll kind of pick up where we left off, I guess. But I don't fully know that answer. I mean, we don't have a lot of samples in Pennsylvania either. I mean, most of the time we don't go into winter, too with severe drought, but it has happened. In the 80s, we had a couple years like that. And, I think we had, not too recently we have. So it's a good question. I don't fully know that answer, but once we get cold, and if we get cold without snow on the ground will just freeze up. That's kind of like what happened last winter for a while. So we had a pretty snowless winter, but we still had a period where the ground was kind of frozen. So yeah, any other questions or comments? Well,
anything else? Thank you very much.
Great, thanks for comments.
Next week, Jen Ford will be back in town, so Eric will be back in the building from the Portland Power.
Bonneville Power Administration. My own office. He could be my boss. Yeah.